Hey neighbor, welcome back to Throwback Week right here on ARTV. My name is John and we're closing out this flashback in time with a redemption review of the one and only record from Boxcar Racer, a self-titled album that saw Tom Delonge recruiting Blink-182 bandmate Travis Barker and future Angels Airwaves member David Kennedy for a boundary-pushing punk rock record. I initially did a terrible review of this album in 2013 and my patron Noah graciously requested that I redo this review, so thank you for the support, Noah. It's redemption review time, and if you'd like to get a request in the future, then hit up patreon.com/ARTV. Top link down below. Tom Delonge is a man with many, and I mean many, interests. He's also a man that has a habit of taking on a lot of different projects at the same time, whether those be music related or not, but this is where it all started, all the way back in 2002. Boxcar Racer unofficially formed in 2001 after Tom had the idea of doing some sort of musical side project that would challenge him to be a bit more creative. In fact, if Boxcar Racer hadn't happened, who knows what the 2003 Untitled Blink album would have sounded like. There definitely seemed to be some hurt feelings at the time when Tom stepped away and took Travis Barker with him, which is kind of understandable, I guess. I mean, Mark Koppisch was the only official member not invited to the party, so I know how I'd feel. 'Cause I feel so mad. Calm down, Mark. You got a guest spot on the song Elevator. No one's getting left out. Now go back to the studio and crank out 5 generic vocal features before bed. Boxcar Racer is sincerely a really compelling album. I mean, I was devastated after finding out that Blink had split in 2005. Like, I had just started getting all of their music, becoming a fan, all that good stuff, and then I see an interview on Fuse where Tom Delonge is waxing poetic about some new band, Angels Airwaves, and that Blink is done. What the fuck, dude? What do I do now? Well, Tom also happened to mention Boxcar Racer in that same interview, and I eventually got my friend to burn me a CD copy of the full album, and suddenly I didn't feel so mad, so used, or so angry. I had this emo-leaning post-hardcore punk record that saw Tom in one of his best places he's ever been outside of Blink musically. Tattered and broken might be adjectives you could use to sum up the lasting feeling of the Boxcar Racer album, but it's a good kind of broken. When you're pushed too far, underestimated, or forgotten about for the last time, out comes some of the most impactful lyrics of Tom's career. The tortured artist strikes again, but it's not that everything is bleak and abysmal like they're locking us in some sort of mental cage or prison. I mean, songs like ThreeAreEss exist here. It just feels a bit like cathartic warfare that'll have those young adult year emotions swelling up bigger than you'd ever expect. Pack that in with some electrifyingly unique drumming from Travis and some savage riffs from Tom and David, and this record might just blow your tiny voice expectations into a loud, roaring waterfall. You really do have to hand it to both guitarists in the band. They nailed down a slightly unpredictable sound that bridged the gap between multiple genres, but also it felt like it stood out on its own on some of the breakout moments. They mellow out only to pounce back wildly, allowing just enough space for the bass and drums to get a spot without being totally overshadowed. Then again, does one ever really overshadow Travis Barker? I think not. Jokes about Tom's exaggerated vocals stem from this era of his career for a reason. He really pushes it on some of these tracks, but honestly, I've never really had a problem with it at all. If anything, I'd say he stands out as more of a dynamic singer here than even on some of the Blink material of the time. The range and angst really drives it into you with the force of a wrecking ball. Robust melodies make the songs get stuck in your head very quickly, and like I mentioned before, Tom's writing is really strong with the topics that he dives into, whether that be jaded anger, misplaced trust, or thoughts of an existential crisis. There's some clunky moments in the mix here and there that don't do too much to paint themselves out of the pack, like Watch the World, a song that gets bogged down in reflection without really taking aim at anything all that interesting, but fortunately for us, those moments don't seem to crop up very often at all. Sorrow comes first because it sounds suspiciously close to being a Blink-182 song. Am I mad about that? Absolutely not. I mean, I love Blink-182, and Tom and Travis are on this track, so you could argue that the entire album sounds a little bit like Blink, but to me, Sorrow stood out as having that teenage angst emotion driving it, along with some hypnotic drumming from Travis. I mean, the outro of this song is too damn good. Fuck yeah, guitar aggression. All Systems Go has that spilling out in spades, along with Tom's early thoughts on the government. This and Aliens Exist served as the precursor, so basically none of us should have been too surprised when he started dedicating his life to it. Elevator features the one and only Mark Hoppus and inadvertently works as a Blink song, I think? Huge fan of the way they intertwine their voices alongside that smart light guitar pattern and a deep-seated bass that keeps the groove going the entire time. Touches of strings at the end of the track are easily a very nice touch as well. It's a pretty punk rock move if you ask me. Moving on to some of the singles and popular tracks, And I was actually my first exposure to Boxcar Racer. I heard a little preview on TV, got the album burned for me, and still to this day, I kinda have this nostalgia overload thing for the song. It features a classic tom hook with enough angst to crack a polar ice cap, but I also have to mention ThreeAreEss, because that's one of a solid little batch of songs that got me through some really tough times in my teenage years. I Feel So was the real game changer though. This track fucks, my friends. That intro section really keeps you in suspense before that hammer-like guitar cracks the ice. Prepare to headbang all of the emotions away, cause it'd be kinda hard to resist some sort of movement while listening. Tiny Voices is the best song on the entire album overall. I mean, maybe that's really bold of me to say, but really the sharp contrast between the pent-up energy of the intro compared to that chorus, wow, that's loud. When Tom gets shouty, I get happy. Simple math, my dear Watsons. Major crossovers happen with Cat Like Thief, which not only features Tim Armstrong of Operation Ivy and Rancid fame, but Jordan from Newfound Glory is here as well with some additional vocals. Tim's part is a lot more pronounced and marks a nice change of pace in the album at just the right time, and can I also say, Cat Like Thief is a killer name for a song. My First Punk Song plus Instrumental are epic short lightning bolts, with Punk Song doing exactly what you'd expect from the title and thrashing about, knocking over tables and such, with Instrumental following up later as the finale to this album, really dialing in some great performances from all the band members and sending this album out on such a high note. You know I can't leave without praising Letters to God. Come on now. What a treat this is. I mean, they incorporate effective piano with calming acoustic guitars and a desperate plea on this hell of a song. It seems to be written from the perspective of someone who just passed away and are now asking for another chance to make things right, which is where Letters to God comes into play. I also highly recommend listening to part 2 of this song, which appears on the first iteration of the Love album from Angels Airwaves. I know that's a bit confusing, but yeah, part 2 is on part 1 from a different band. For any Blink or Angels Airwaves fan that may have never heard Boxcar Racer, at least not in full, check this one out. It's leaps and bounds better than what Mark Hoppus did with Plus 44. Not to say the When Your Heart Stops Beating album is bad, it's just really limited in its scope of lyrics and music a lot of the time. The lone Boxcar Racer album remains important and gripping, and I'm scoring this one a 4.5 out of 5. Boxcar Racer or Plus 44, or just none of those and only Blink-182. Debate away in the comments section down below. If you'd like to see me eventually cover the Plus 44 album, then sound off in the comments section. Maybe I'll find a way to talk about it at some point in a different video. Leave your thoughts on the record Boxcar Racer in the comments section down below. Drop a like on this video, and check out some more of the throwback reviews right over here. Socials in the description, and I'll see you soon for more right here on ARTV.